It's time for What's Trending with the Empress of Umukwata. That also speaks Yoruba, by the way. Oh, yeah.
I just don't speak that.
Professor Yoruba on air.
How do you say good morning? How are you?
Karo.
Good morning to you guys. Good morning, our favorite Nigerian.
How do you say
fantastic.
good morning, Shona?
Mangwanani. And what I want to know, Oji, what does Omojati mean?
Who is the Jati that we're talking about?
We don't think it's outside.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The biggest trending story is that landmark ceasefire deal right now that Donald Trump brokered. He's about to speak to Israel's parliament in a short while. Arise News will bring you guys up to speed with that story. Of course, it's, so significant because Hamas has released about 20 living hostages at this point. Adefemi Akinsoya is in Israel at the moment, bringing us up to speed. Kudos Adefemi Akinsoya for that report. In the coming hours, Israel will release, I believe, about 2,000 hostages. What would we say at this point? Kudos to US President Donald Trump. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin What's Trending. Social media has been awash with reactions after the Minister of Works, David Umahi, fired back at Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde over criticism of the controversial Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project. Makinde had questioned the true cost per kilometer of the highway during a stakeholders consultative and engagement meeting last Thursday, accusing Umahi of dancing around the cost. The minister, in response, while speaking during an inspection of the Kefi section of the Abuja-Mararaba Kefi Road, refuted Makinde's comments, stating that the governor misunderstood the nuanced details of road cost evaluation, insisting the highway should not be reduced to political soundbites. He then pointedly referred to Makinde as an electrician. Let's take a look.
I heard, somebody showed me what my brother and friend, Governor Makinde of Oyo State said. I don't want to join issues with him, but I think he's an engineer. I think he's an electrician. Oh, sorry, they call it elect. This road construction, elect, no reach there. I'm a senior in governance, and I'm a senior in engineering practice. And so anything he doesn't understand, he should call me and ask. And I will not join issue because I have respect for our governors. I have respect for him as my friend and brother. But he should withdraw the word that I'm dancing around. I never dance around. And if he insists, he should come for debate. That is very important. He should come for debate. And we can this thing, So there is no ambiguity in cost per kilometer, but I'm teaching them that cost per kilometer could be divided into estimated cost, which has elements of variance, and then average cost, which is definitive. That is what it is.
That was the minister there. He maintained that calculating average costs for a project of the Lagos-Calabar Highway's magnitude was impossible, reminding Nigerians that he remains an authority in the field of engineering. Cost per kilometer. Rufy, you started that conversation. Cost per kilometer. I didn't even understand what he meant by elect. Have you heard that before? Elect. Let me take some
electrical
reaction.
engineering.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah,
elect.
All
right, let's take some tweets. I mean, this story has been viral. This is from someone on X who wrote, "I love Engineer Dave Umahi. Engineering is a broad field of different expertise, no doubt. Engineer Seyi Makinde was only trying to spite him since they are both engineers. However, a civil construction engineer is different from an electrical engineer or a petroleum engineer." Then another X-user wrote, "But this is exactly why Nigeria can't move forward. Every disagreement turns into a CV context." Makinde raised a question on cost transparency. Umahi replied with credentials. "Sir, this isn't WAEC verification. It's public accountability. The road isn't a personal project. It's taxpayers' money. Being a civil engineer doesn't exempt you from scrutiny. Even pilots get questioned before takeoff. Let me come to you, our favorite Naija wife. I will leave Rufai out for a moment on this subject matter. But you saw the minister there, of course, reiterating the point that you cannot calculate a figure. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that given the duration of this conversation, it has stretched out longer than necessary, because at this point we would have wanted to start to see more numbers being crunched. I don't think it's fair for accountability, for the spirit of transparency, for us to continue to focus on the trivialities around the conversation. Because if we are to just focus on the core of this conversation, there are questions that are being asked that need to be answered. It doesn't matter whether those questions are answered by an engineer or whether they are answered by a lecturer or a professor. At the end of the day, we are aware that he's a minister and he works with an entire ministry beneath him, and there are several people that do the work behind the scenes. So if he didn't have the numbers initially, by now we would have wanted to have seen some sort of a broader conversation around educating people, because the fact that, he came on this platform and he did say, oh, let me educate you, this is how it's supposed to be and so forth. It's important for us to educate the public. I, for one, am not an engineer, but I would love to know how it's calculated and how it translates into taxpayers' money. What is the budget? Where are we with that budget? He's spoken about, yes, there's an estimated figure, and then, of course, there's the delivered figure. We understand all of that, but it's just about how we bring this information together and communicate it to the public without personalizing issues, without reducing these issues to, what feels like personal battles. That's not the issue here. So I think for me, we just need to continue with the spirit of accountability and transparency. And this is the impunity, unfortunately, that continues to fester around us. Some people say that maybe what's holding us back is our beloved African culture. Because in African culture, you're not to question your elders, you're not to question people in positions of authority. There are a number of things that are considered a taboo. However, as much as we love and value our African culture, it's also important for us to now start having a conversation around where we are in a democracy. And the fact that democracy, the higher up you are in the food chain, the more of a servant you are to the people, and the more people have the right, authority, and access to you to get answers. This back and forth, I think is still highly unproductive. I understand that he has come out with some figures, but again, I don't think it's about holding press conferences and delivering figures. Let's see some beautiful graphic artwork.
What were the figures that you saw? I think I saw something about 4 billion per kilometer, something like that.
There were a lot of calculations. I know we were doing the calculations in studio, and there was 28 billion. There were a number of different figures. So I don't want to churn out figures that don't add up to, because you would have had to calculate them. But I think whatever it is, it's not something that we should be crunching with our calculators. He mentioned in the interview when he was here on the morning show that there is a website that they are unveiling that should also have information and so forth. That website should also provide information, up-to-date information, cost. This is what we have spent thus far on so many kilometers from this place to that place. XYZ, that is what we call transparency and accountability.
Fantastic. By our favorite Naija wife. Well, in another development, the presidential pardon granted last week by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to 175 inmates and ex-convicts continues to generate public reaction. The clemency followed approval by the National Council of State, while among those pardoned by President Tinubu was Maryam Sanda, who had been sentenced to death in 2017 for killing her husband. The 37-year-old convict had spent 6 years and 8 months at Suleja Medium Security Custodial Center after being sentenced to death for culpable homicide. Her pardon sparked widespread criticism. In response, presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga said that Sanda's family pleaded for her release in the best interest of her 2 children, adding that the plea was also anchored on her good conduct in jail, her remorse, and her embracement of a new lifestyle, demonstrating her commitment to being a model prisoner. Sanda was arrested in November 2017 for stabbing her husband to death over alleged infidelity. She claimed her husband died after falling on a broken shisha pot during an argument. Rufai, we took this story. When we took this story back in, I believe, when she was sentenced, it was heartbreaking to hear the circumstances that surrounded her death. And I'll take some reactions because the story has generated quite a few on social media, X, Instagram, and of course, Facebook. And I'll take Obiora, who wrote, "You can call it mercy, or you can call it what it is. Another reminder of how uneven our system truly is. On paper, a pardon looks noble. A show of compassion, a second chance, the image of a just leader extending grace. But in a country where justice bends for the powerful, mercy stops feeling like principle and starts to look like privilege. Too many ordinary people are serving endless sentences for lesser crimes, forgotten in overcrowded prisons with no one speaking their names. They don't get presidential attention or public sympathy. They just fade into the system's silence. And then there's Nnamdi Kanu, 5 years in detention, dragged through endless court proceedings with no clear resolution and no political will to end it. The same government that can find compassion in one case somehow finds only punishment in his. That's not justice. That's selective morality. Rufai, we had Honorable Obia Agwocha on the morning show yesterday, and he, touched on this particular Twitter user's comment, the fact that, the only thing that Nnamdi Kanu is looking for is a release so that they could attend to his health. And, this sort of conversation of who gets pardon or not is, the sort of conversation I'd like us to have. I'll take another expose before I come to you. And this is from Awele, who wrote, "Was the family of the late Yamin Bello, that's her husband, consulted and in agreement before his killer, Maryam Sanda, is being granted pardon?" That's the question. The reason for her pardon is vexatious. The late Yamin had his life cruelly cut short. No opportunity to see his children grow up, and Maryam is free. And that's one of the conversation, that Maryam is free so that she can attend to her children. Your thoughts on the story, Rufai?
I like to talk with empirical
As
facts.
always, yes.
Presidential pardon, offense committed, October 2025. Drugs, 29.2%. Unlawful mining, 24%. Homicide, 13.5%. Fraud and corruption, 12.3%. Hijacking, 5.3%. Firearms, 2.3%. Robbery and theft, 2.3%. Human trafficking, 1.8%. You see, at these rates, let's all go mad together. Because if we have now become a nation where we pardon criminals that our institutions fought hard to convict, then President Tinubu, in your next pardon, I have some names for you. You must pardon Lawrence Omaji-Akpo Anini. You must pardon Oyenusi, the criminal. You must pardon Shekau. Look at the joke Nigeria has become. You pardon all these people that have perpetrated heinous crimes, then you now have to drag the name of Herbert Macaulay in it to make it look legitimate. You now have to drag some of our founding fathers in it to make it, after you pardon all the criminals. Look at Farouk Lawan. There was a sting operation where the state security agencies, they were the ones that baited him with the bribe, the marked notes. He pardoned him. So what nation do we have? What nation, I ask, do we have? But in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, people have been speaking. Some Igbo, top leaders came to Buhari last time to seek a peaceful resolution to the matter. No. Nnamdi Kanu is not being granted access to see doctors. This one, they're not even asking for pardon, access to see doctors. But all of a sudden, we are seeing all of this pardon flying around. So what lessons do we want for children in the generations yet unborn? A woman, we took the story here, planned the attack for good measure, also lacerated the husband's body. You say you talk to the woman's family before you pass. So the husband family, they have nothing. How would the husband family feel today?
And that's the right question.
See, The prerogative of mercy is expected that a president will be able to, dispense that prerogative reasonably. But as it is today, like somebody was saying today, I think they should be adding civil society so that we can circumvent the names brought forward. You see, our nation has just become a joke where anything happens. At this rate, we'll start pardoning certificate forgers if they will not even give themselves pardon already. Right. So what kind of nation are we living in? What kind of generation do we want to give? What kind of country?
How would they give themselves pardon? Tell me. How would they pardon themselves once they forge the certificates?
No, people like Umahi that their allegations are certificate forging.
Yes.
When they get to positions, they will pardon themselves now.
All right.
When they get high up there, they will pardon themselves. We are living in a country where, you are having all sorts of... let me read a newspaper article that was written many years ago for you, Oji, where somebody was saying that people of questionable characters will be the one ruling Nigeria over the years to come. See, New Breed newspaper, this was in 1990s something, where they were saying drug barons may determine the political future of Nigeria.
These are the
these are the issues in the country. This is not nice. And please, President Tinubu, with due respect, let's stop all of this. Let's make it make sense.
Yes. I mean, we have to live in a country where it appears that the federal government, presents itself as being accountable, fair, and just. What is good for the goose, is that how they say it? Is good for the gander. The gander. Well, we'll continue to follow up on this story. I'm sure there will be more names that will come up from this executive presidential pardon. Well, we'll take our next story from Rome, where former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, alongside his wife, Margaret Obi, met with His Holiness, Pope Leo XIV. Peter Obi said he traveled to Rome after a trip to the United States with the goal of praying for Nigeria's peace, unity, and renewal. Obi made the comments in a post on X, saying that he brought Nigeria's challenges before God during a spiritual pilgrimage. He wrote on X, and I'll read his post in part. He wrote, "At St. Peter's, we were privileged to be received in audience by His Holiness, Pope Leo XIV, to whom we humbly appealed for prayers for our beloved country, Nigeria. Along the way, we met several Nigerian pilgrims, men and women of faith, whose faces shone with quiet hope. Together, we renewed our trust in God's divine mercy and in the promise of a renewed and better Nigeria." Well, online reactions have been mixed, with some users noting that taking Nigeria's situation to God seems like the best option after exhausting all human efforts. However, observers highlighted Peter Obi's emphasis that faith should inspire action, with every citizen playing their part towards improving the state of the nation. And I'll take some reactions before I come to you, Vimbai. And this person wrote, "Truly, Nigeria's problem isn't that Nigerians haven't prayed enough, but it's more of not putting the interests of the country first. If we like, let's pray from now till 1 million years without doing the right thing for our country. Our country won't change. The election period will soon be here. Let's make the right call. Hashtag God bless Nigeria." Another ex-user wrote, "Whether I agree or not about taking Nigeria's matter to God, I think as a nation, we must first take the matter into our own hands, because even the Bible said the violent ones take it by force until we do our part to take this nation from political vampires, looters, and thieves. God is not going to come down to help." And I think that is a valid point, Vimbai. But in the meantime, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has arrived Rome, Italy, to participate in the Aqaba Process Heads of State and Government level meeting focused on West Africa's security crisis. The meeting, beginning October 14th, is a counter-terrorism initiative launched by King Abdullah II of Jordan in 2015 and co-chaired by Jordan and the Italian government. Presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga said the summit will bring together heads of state, senior intelligence and military officials from African countries, and representatives of intergovernmental and non-governmental organizations to discuss evolving security challenges, including expansion of terrorist networks, the crime-terror nexus, and overlap between land-based terrorism in the Sahel and maritime piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. Vimba, I'd like for you to juxtapose both stories here. On one hand, we see Peter Obi in Rome putting Nigeria into God's hands, praying for Nigeria. And then on the other hand, we see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Rome as well, engaging with the Italian government over terrorism, insecurity. All of these issues are brought in the front burner for you to discuss right now.
It's a busy time in Rome, certainly.
I'll come sit with you.
Fantastic. So, I mean, it's a busy time in Rome. Where do I begin? Let me begin from the fact that the first thing that brought me to Nigeria when I first came to this country many years ago was actually church. I came here to attend a church, to attend some prayer services and so forth. And I bring this to the discussion because I want to highlight the fact that I don't think Nigeria has a shortage of prayers or a shortage of the presence of God. I don't think it's always honorable for people who want to go on pilgrimages and pray around the world where they feel closest to God and where they feel God can hear them the loudest. Absolutely fine. But here in Nigeria, we do not have a shortage of God. But the question is, when we preach about the Bible and all of these things, how many people are actually taking all of those lessons and, all of those scriptures that we are supposed to live by? How many people are living by them? So I think that in the case of, Mr. Peter Obi and his beautiful wife, I think it's a noble cause for them to embark on this journey. But I think Nigerians right now want to hear their proposed solutions as an opposition in waiting, if I may call it that. Political season has heated up and the questions continue to spring up. We're here talking about presidential clemency and pardons. We're talking about the screening of a new INEC chair. We're talking about movements happening with political permutations by the day. There's a lot of uncertainty with the economy. Insecurity, is biting. So as much as this is a noble trip and as a private citizen, he's fully entitled to do so, I think what Nigerians really want to hear from potential leaders right now are proposed solutions. Now, Peter Obi has been consistent in always, adding his voice of opposition, his voice of dissent to various things. But I think where it lacks is that people want to know critically, besides being able to point out where there may be some weaknesses in what the government is doing, what are the proposed solutions and what's the way forward? And I think it becomes concerning when our way forward is to take Nigeria to God, which is in itself not a bad thing. However, let's get some more sort of empirical ideas on the ground. Now, with the president in Rome as well discussing insecurity, I mean, we're going to continue discussing insecurity for as long as it's a regional issue. And I think that's why, it's become more imperative to engage on an international, even beyond a regional level, on an international level, to try and see how we can find some sort of solution, sustainable solution to the crisis that we have going on in the Sahel. We've spoken so many times about the pressure points, whether it be, what happened from the fallout in Libya, whether it be what happens from Sudan, whether it be, the radicalization, the extremism, whether it's poverty, whether the conversation has been had so many times. Right. The question is, what are the new conversations the president will be having in Rome? What are the new solutions? Because it's no longer enough for us to continue to gather for these talk shops. We've hosted ECOWAS security summits here in Nigeria, but we're not seeing anything coming out of it. And I think it's now time for us to start seeing some more innovative interventions. As much as our armed forces are working, let's start to see more innovation.
Right, a quick comment and then...
Okay, quick comment. With due respect, I don't have anything against prayer. I like prayer. But I also like common sense. And I think it's misplaced to go to Rome and say, pray for Nigeria. Pray for Nigeria where? Have they not prayed enough? God knows when they've been praying for Nigeria. Look at the Rome Mr. Peter Obi went to. Is it prayer that they used to build Rome? They collected taxes, sales taxes and the likes.
You pay taxes?
No, they collected taxes. You don't pay POE. You don't pay POE every month.
You have to pay taxes.
Do you know how much you remove from your deducted PE every that we all pay here?
No.
So they pay sales taxes and everything. They have institutions that work, that make the place work. They didn't say because it's Rome, Holy See, oh, God from heaven, make Rome work. No. They don't pray to make it work. They clean their streets. They make it work. So enough of all this prayer. If in Rome, it is leadership that works there. They have departments of government. Why can't our department work? But when you ask questions about accountability here, I'm not going there. I'm not talking. Move on.
Cost per kilometer.
I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. No. I'm not seeing anything.
Well, all right. In another development, Senate President Godswill Akpabio has recounted how a brief encounter with a young man during a flight years ago led to a life-changing act of generosity. While speaking at a recent event, Akpabio explained that during his time as governor, when he often flew commercial, a young man who had long wanted to meet him finally got the chance while serving as the cabin crew on one of his trips. The Senate president said the young man approached him at 35,000 feet in uniform and made a striking statement about wealth and morality. Let's take a look.
When we got to about 35,000 feet, he came dressed in his uniform and told me, Your Excellency, if this plane should crash now, some of you will die as rich men and some of us will die as poor men. And I said, so, how do you want to die? Do you want to die as a rich man or as a poor man? He said, I would like to die as a rich man. I said, so what do you want? He said, I have an admission in an aeronautic school, an aviation school in US, but I have no money to go. And I said, as soon as we get down, leave this aircraft and follow me. And he followed me. According to him, not from my mouth, he said the first money that I gave to him was about $85,000. And then he brought two of his friends, and I did the same for them. And their lives changed. But since that day till today, he has not seen me. And now he has children. He's very prosperous. He's doing very well. And he was talking to, I think, Daddy Freeze.
Freeze, yes, sir.
So somebody stumbled on it on Instagram and brought it to show me. So if he's listening to me tonight, tell him that I would like to see him so that he can pay me back some of the money. because in reality, since he has made so much profit, he should come and what did I tell him? He said, how will I pay back? I said, no. When you make it in life, do the same to others.
You know, I love this story. You know why I love this story? It's all about paying it forward. I mean, I thought that it was a good example that he gave there. And he was quite cheeky saying he wants his money back. But that's really what life is about. You never know who you meet. You never know whose life you're going to impact. At the end of the day, it's beautiful to see that, you know, this sort of conversation happens also within our government officials. Well, finally, on what's trending today. On Sunday, October 12th, Arise News organized a night of tribute for our beloved colleague, Arise News anchor, reporter and producer, Somtochukwu Christel Maduagu, affectionately known as Somi, who tragically lost her life at the tender age of 29. Dignitaries in attendance included the chairman and editor-in-chief of Arise The Stay Media Group, Prince Nduka Obaigbena, Senator Victor Ume, Senator Adams Oshomole, and the First Lady of Enugu State, Chinyere Mba. The Arise News team, led by the Deputy Managing Director of Arise News Channel, Bayo Onanuga, all paid glowing tributes to our beloved anchor. Onanuga said Somi became a victim of some of the ills plaguing the society that she had hoped to change. Perhaps the most moving tribute came from Somi's goddaughter.
She was alone and saw multiple men storm into her confiding space. Saw Nigeria happen right in front of her face. She held onto her railing, trying to get to the balcony of the second floor. The railing failed her just as her country did. My beautiful Auntie Somi slipped. Rushed to the hospital, still breathing. Yet another one of your lies worth believing. Dead on arrival, you claimed. But what about the nurses that should be ashamed? Refused to treat her for a reason, even hearing leaves me enraged. A police report and an ID. She was bleeding to death right in front of you. Were all your years wasted in school? Could you not have even ministered first aid? Did you have to watch my auntie's life fade? How many people have each one of you killed? She could have survived. Whether the chance was near zero, it was there. She was not dead on arrival. She was not dead on arrival. She was not dead on arrival. She did not jump. She did not jump. She did not jump.
Let that sink in. I thought I should highlight this particular speech by Sumi's goddaughter. Our managing editor also said that we will be better consoled and comforted when the necessary actions are taken to improve our security and healthcare in a way that will be an end to avoidable tragedies. Som Tochukwu, may your soul continue to rest in perfect peace. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much. That's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.